Hello and welcome to the podcast According to Sci-Faith, where we discuss topics revolving around the compatibility of science and faith. I'm Joshua Göcking and you're listening to According to Sci-Faith. Episode 60, Quantum Center Theory. So today we will solve the one big paradox of Christmas. And this is, of course, how can Santa in one night deliver all people with presents? So before we start solving this riddle, let's first talk about who this Santa actually was. Santa, or the story of Santa Claus, or the person behind Santa Claus, goes back to a real person and called Nikolaus von Myra. He was living in what is today Turkey, and to his time it was the Roman Empire. It was about 300 AD, and he was living in times where when he came to faith, there was still Christian persecution going on, and even though Constantine was basically making Christianity state religion around 30 AD or in this century, then it was still, you might assume, then the persecution were maybe already going down in some sense. No, it actually, the time before Constantine introduced Christianity as a state's religion was the time of the hardest, one of the hardest Christian persecutions of all time. Therefore, they were pretty serious times. He was also jailed and tortured there. And then after Christianity became state's religion, he was also at the Council of Nicaea, where which is basically known for that the Nicene Creed was basically postulated there or stated there for the first time, and he was also known for that he gave his inheritance to those who were in need. And I think from this there is this idea that of Santa Claus providing presents to everyone. This comes basically from there. And now let's come to our solving of the paradox. This paradox says, how can this Santa Claus deliver everyone with presents in one night? And the idea for this comes from Martin Bauer, who was postdoc in the group where I was doing my master thesis and bachelor thesis, and by now he's a professor in the UK, in Durham, and he also has a huge presence where he basically talks about physics, about science, and introduces also the layman to sophisticated scientific topics. So if you're interested in that, I really recommend following him and to get these insights. And last Christmas, and also in one talk I heard of him at a Christmas party once, he gave basically this jokingly resolution of this Christmas paradox. So if we just talk about Santa Claus, and we see that he seems to be able to gift the children of this world in one night with all the presents they want, then we run into real problem if we consider him to be a classic Santa Claus. Because there are 2 billion children in this world, and about 15% of them are Christian. So this means there are 86 million households that need to be delivered their presents, and this is assuming that there are about 3.5 children per household. And he has only, considering time differences, the different time zones, he has only about 31 hours time to deliver everyone with his presents. So this means he needs to be able to make 770 visits per second, and this means he has about 1/1000th of a second to park his sleigh, to exit it, to go through the chimney, and then to deliver the presents and spread them out. Then he still needs to consume the snacks and get back on his sleigh and continue to drive on. Then if an average house has a distance of 1.5 5 kilometers, then he needs to travel with 1/25th of the speed of light. So he needs to be really close to the speed of light, and therefore it was often assumes that the length contraction of this speeds that he's going on with is responsible for him passing through the chimneys, since the chimneys are usually pretty thin, and Centaur is known to be a rather corpulent person. So what comes furthermore is that he needs to carry 86,000 tons of presents if we assume that every present is weighing about 1 kilogram. That means he needs 144,333 flying reindeers to really be able to carry that weight. And now, if we consider this weight and the speed that is needed to carry it, then we, as we in physics seldom do, but here we need to do it, we need to consider air resistance. And because what happens if we consider air resistance here, then it will be that the reindeers are really heating up a lot. Because in this case, there are 40 billion joule of energy released by this air resistance, and that would mean that the reindeers are vaporized in under a second. So this theory does not work. There have been alternative theories proposed, and one of these theories was that there just is no center. Completely nonsense, of course. And another theory that has been proposed is that there are just no good kids. There are just no nice kids. You can, I let it to you to evaluate this kind of alternative theory. But there is one more popular theory which has gained in popularity in recent times, and that is the theory of a quantum center. Okay, time for a short break. In these breaks, I usually make some announcement, as you are used to by now. And I think one announcement is that this post that I was talking about in one of the episodes about the consistent histories interpretation, this is now on my Substack, so you can read all about that. Also, if you are also following the German Substack, then you just stay updated about it, because there might be some changes over the holidays. So over the holidays I will take some time, consider how to continue with the podcast, with my Substack and so on, and also with my writing. So there will be some changes probably, and I will announce them once I made them. So really keep updated there. And if you are interested in reading my books, then I really can recommend to you my book Sci-Faith, The Compatibility of Science and Faith. This is available as an ebook in English, so I really recommend you to get that. And if you want to read a novel, then I really recommend to you Alien Thoughts, my first novel, a science fiction novel, so you can read all about that. It's also available as an ebook, so I recommend you to get that one. And really, if you have read those books and you really enjoyed them, then I really would like if you could give a short review, either just a 5-star review, or just you can also write something about it, what you find especially intriguing, what you like the most, and so on. I really like to hear your feedback and get to know what you think of my work. And also I have this book, the Odysseus-Liste, which is right now only available in German. It's a crime novel, and in the coming year I really plan to translate this also into the English language. If you would be interested in this, then just let me know, then I will try to speed up this process and try to get this available to you also. This theory, there is certain evidence for this, because Centaur was never directly observed. There are only indirect hints of him. So, for example, him tunneling through the chimney, because as we have stated, Santa seems to be a really corpulent guy, but still he gets through the chimney, so maybe there's a tunnel effect going on, as we know from quantum mechanics. And also, if you try to observe Santa, then you usually do not see him, and also the indirect proof of him is vanishing, as we also know from quantum mechanics, for example from the double slit experiment, where once we measure it, it behaves completely different. Also, Santa seems to be able to be at different places at the same time. So there are many hints that this quantum Santa theory might be a valid theory. What this then would mean that we can describe Santa, or this theory, by a superposition state of Santa and not Santa. So everywhere we are, there's basically this superposition of Santa being there and Santa not being there, and there's a small expectation value of Santa actually being there. And this delivers a good explanation for all these data we have to grapple with. So if now one children should be able to expect Santa and successfully measure him in the state Santa, then this would necessarily mean that this direct measurement of him would collapse the wave function such that all the presents would be deposited in his room. So you need to think about whether you really would want to have that. So all joking aside, I think this Christmas, as any Christmas, we actually celebrate the coming of Jesus into this world, who with his sacrifice brought the greatest gift of all time to all humanity, and this all at the same time. So he really managed to do what any Santa could not do. He managed to give us all the greatest gift of all time to all humanity at the same time. So that's really awesome, and I think I want to encourage you on this Christmas to really think about it, to think what he has done for you, and to the grace that he has provided for all of us, and to meditate on that, to think on that during the holidays, what we are actually celebrating here, and to really realize that. And get to deeper into that. I really also encourage you, if you never have done it, then to read the Gospels, to read a bit the Christmas story in the Gospels, and you can also read on to what happens after this Christmas story, and really get a deeper grip of what the Bible is talking about, what this huge work of salvation actually means, what it means to you, and meditate on it, think about it, and let it change you, because it has changed me, and I'm certain it will change you too. And with that, I wish you a very Merry Christmas, and this will be the last podcast in this year, the last podcast episode in this year. Afterwards, I will make a short break during the holidays. I will also work on how to continue this podcast, what new stuff I can add in, and so on, and I will keep you updated about this, but I will only continue this podcast at the 13th of January, so in this week there will be no new podcast episodes released, and up until then I wish you really happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. So that's everything for today's episode. I hope you liked it and you enjoyed each part of it. If you want to get in touch with me or discuss a topic or want to give me some feedback, then feel free to contact me using the contact form on my website, sci-faith.de/en. And there you can go to the contact tab and contact me. And if you have any other things or episodes you want to have covered there, or topics you want to have covered, feel free to contact me there. Also, if you are not yet familiar with the format in which this podcast is produced, let me just briefly explain it to you. So there are always at the beginning of a month or of a block. There is a big block of 4 episodes in one thing. It's kind of like a preview, which I call it, where you have the next 4 episodes all in one episode together, combined. And this is for people who like to hear long format podcasts, who have a long way to work or something else, where they can listen to a long episode and can then have a preview of the next 4 episodes all at once, and are completely up to date from the beginning of the block. For those who like their episodes shorter, who prefer it if they have a half an hour or even less of a podcast episode, for those there is every week afterwards will appear a podcast episode almost in that length, and this way I can publish every week a new podcast every episode, and everyone can have it his own way, either once a month a long chunk of content, or once a week a shorter format podcast episode. So I think that's the best way for everyone, and also for me when I'm producing it. Please also note that this is an independent podcast, which means that it is recorded, produced, and marketed by me. So I really need your support in this. So if you like this podcast, then give it a 5-star rating. And if you have the time, even write a review to it. This just helps other listeners to become aware of this podcast. And then people who might be interested in this content can become aware of it. Also, if you have friends who you think would like this content, then recommend it to them and share it with them. Also, you can support me in other ways, for example by reading my blog and subscribing to my newsletter, or even by reading my books, which you can find on Amazon. For example, there is my latest novel out now is Alien Thoughts, which is pretty entertaining from the feedback that I gotten, and so it's also in some way related to science and faith. The topic of it is also in there, but of course you can also read the book to this podcast, Sci-Faith, The Compatibility of Science and Faith, which is also available in English since last year. Thank you for that. And now I wish you a wonderful day, and I'm looking forward for you to tune in again next time.